Blog Talk Radio.
The crowd is so excited tonight. I know it's been a while, so that's why you guys were super loud tonight. I like it. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Outside the Huddle with OT. I am your host, Dr. O.T. Porter, the NGFFL's Director of Communications. I am communicating with you directly, our NGFFL family, as we continue to compete, connect, and unite. Tonight on Outside the Huddle, it's really exciting. One, it's post-Gable, yay. I know everyone is excited to sort of have a break from that, but we also have to start getting geared up very, very quickly for Sin City, another story. More importantly, tonight, I am very excited to introduce not only our second female woman leader and interview for the podcast, but this person is also very new to the league and just leapt right in and started creating a name for herself, started making noise. So I'm excited to have Austin's Charlotte Wilson with me tonight. So we're going to get Charlotte in here and start chatting because that's what you guys are here to hear. You're not here to listen to me because I didn't need Charlotte for that. So let's get Charlotte in. Hey, Charlotte, how you doing?
I'm good, OT. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. So what I want to do is just jump right into the important stuff. So for those of us who don't know you, and as we talked about a little bit behind the scenes, you're relatively new, give everyone a little bit of your NGFFL and Austin background.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's an honor to get to be on the podcast. My background is definitely short when it comes to NGFFL. This past Gable and NYC was my third total Gable. Austin itself has only been in existence for 2 years, but I have the fortune of being on one of their original co-ed travel teams. Their second Gable to attend, which was in Boston, and one of my friends, Quincy, was on the co-ed travel team and said, "Hey, you should come try out. You're athletic, and it doesn't really matter if you don't know football in general." I literally never played flag football before, so tried out and traveled, and I was one of 3 women on that co-ed team in Boston Gable, and then the last 2 years I've been a part or a captain in one of our women's teams in Gable, so and then currently serve as the assistant commissioner for the ATX GFL. So it's just been a whirlwind and such a fun ride so far.
Yeah, you said it's not that much. That's a lot, especially in such a short time crunch. That's a ton. That's fantastic. Thank you for your efforts and your hard work.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a blast.
Yeah. So, it sounds like you might have answered this, but just so I get an opportunity for you to thank whoever brought you in on this, what or who influenced your decision to take on a leadership role in Austin?
Yeah, it wasn't just one who. It was a few who's. My original experience was prior to being the assistant commissioner was just a kind of a captain of our second women's team for Gable in Denver of 2018. Honestly, I have to give a huge shout out to Mallory Williams, who really helped form what is our women's team and growing organization. She spearheaded it all, and then just as we had about 25 women interested in going to Gable and Denver of 2018, and she just said, "Hey, Charlotte, we got to make another team, and I know you're an A-level player, but I really need you to captain our B team." And so that was my first chance to step up, and I was terrified because again, I only had less than a year under my belt of playing flag football. I grew up playing lots of other sports, but football was new to me, so I stepped up and here we are. And then after that, I played for the first season of ATX GFL, and I was sitting in a hot tub with my teammates, one of whom is the current commissioner, but he was also he had been my captain for 2 seasons, and he was like, hey, we need to kind of backfill this role for assistant commissioner, and we really want a woman's presence on our board, and we think you're it. So it was just kind of 2 people that said, hey, we think you should step up, and I said, are you sure? And then I did, and here we are.
Okay. So you said something really important, so I'm going to say 2 words to you, and I want your reaction to those words, okay? Women,
okay.
Inclusion.
The first thing that comes to my mind is the future.
Mhm.
It's the future of sports and of a variety of leagues around the U.S. In my head, I'm picturing a T-shirt that 2 of our teammates and siblings, Courtney and Chris Rhodes, created this last season that just said the future of football is women and trans people. And so that's exactly where my brain went to, is women and inclusion is the future of sports in general, but definitely of ATX-GFL and hopefully of NGFFL.
Okay. Why do you believe it is important that Austin have a strong women's flag football presence?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because we're 2 years out of having a formal league, and we have about 30 women in the league now, but we started out, as I mentioned, with 3 on the original co-ed travel team, and then the first season was 6, and then it turned to 10, and then to 20, and now we have almost 30 women, and many, many more kind of in the ranks that have organic connections to the league that will probably be joining. And very soon in the years to come, I could envision us having a women's division. We're not there quite yet, but in general, I think Austin having a strong just women's presence in the ATX-GFL is to provide diversity and balance. And not just women in general, but people who don't identify as a gay man, making space for everyone else. And that's ATX-GFL's mission on our website, is that all are welcome. So it's definitely women kind of in the forefront, but we're focused on not just women, but inclusion and diversity in general.
Mm-hmm. So as you set out to build the Women's League from 3 women to now 30 and put together a women's travel team, what specifically did you do to help build Austin's women's flag football presence?
Yeah, it's funny. I struggle to answer that question because I don't think that it really comes down to what I did beyond just being present and continually showing up and encouraging other women to show up too, and to not be afraid of being part of a male-dominated sport or league. It really was just showing up and becoming a core and stepping up when people asked me to step up.
Mm-hmm. But that's a big deal, right? Like, you think about how often, as you sort of pointed out, women point to, oh, this is male-dominated, or that weird dichotomy or that weird disconnect, rather, between lesbians and gays, right? And it's like, oh, no, I don't want to do that, but somehow you're able to get by it. But showing up and being present, like, visibility matters. Women will come if they see other women. But if they don't see other women, it's like, it looks like this is for the boys. So that's a big deal. Thank you. So in dealing with women's inclusion and Austin and the NGFFL, because this is a huge deal for me personally, I'm a bit of a feminist. Actually, I'm not a bit. Like, I like my feminism unfiltered. I'm a feminist, right? So I believe in the equality, and it's important for me to see a strong women's presence. What would you like to see improved by Austin and on the national level, excuse me, and on the national level for women in the NGFFL?
For Austin specifically, what I would like to see improved is just a nice sustained level of growth of a female presence, and from that, leadership that arises from that. It's been an honor to be the only woman thus far on the board and to be one of the original women on the travel team and the league. But I'm in my late 30s. I could see myself retiring in in probably 3 to 5 years, depending on how my body holds up. Thank you.
Have you seen your legs? Your body's holding up just fine.
Thank you. But I really want to see in Austin specifically, and I think it spans out to the larger national level, more women in leadership positions, more opportunity for a woman's perspective, or just in general a more diverse perspective, even when it comes to things like bylaws and rules and regulations that don't necessarily consider women or transgender or non-binary individuals. For instance, with Austin, something recently, it's a small little thing that doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it did make a pretty big wave within our league itself, was that we had a handful of women who had expressed interest in being a quarterback. They'd either quarterbacked in another league, flag or tackle, or just expressed interest. And so we made space for that. And in our first season of having women quarterback, either in a quasi fashion or, more so the league quarterback, realized, hey, we should probably change our bylaws so that when there is a female quarterback on the team, she gets to choose what size ball she uses. And it's just little things like that that help make an impact and make the women of our league feel like their presence is mattered and they're not a secondary citizen of the league.
That's fantastic. Wow. And that's not even something I consider. One, Houston has no female quarterback, so not something we had considered at this point. But that's wonderful. That's great. Are there any other things that you think Austin is doing correctly that other cities can learn from, as far as women especially?
Yeah, I think, and maybe it's just a blessing or coincidence of it being a young league where our culture is really, really strong and positive and affirming. But for whatever reason, intentional or not, the women in Austin's league are held in very, very high regard by the men in the league. For instance, last night we had our fourth season closed. We had our playoffs. We had our awards ceremony, and 3 of the awardees were women, and many, many more were nominees. So we seem to have always had and continue to grow in equal standing and deep respect from the league at large. I can't quite put my finger on why that is yet, but it's a pretty beautiful thing to behold.
Because it's the right thing to do. That's why. That's where your finger should go. Because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, that's why. Yeah. That's why. You have to make women feel included, and you have to actually go the extra mile, because this is a male-dominated sport. So women are not always going to naturally feel welcome. So you do have to go the extra mile. So I think it's fantastic that you all in Austin are doing that and doing it so well that you are growing your numbers in the way that you're growing them. Just fantastic, and congratulations.
Thank you.
So now let's get a little dirty. Let's talk competition.
Okay.
What are the women of Austin doing to compete with and possibly dethrone the Denver women? Because that's the marker.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
They've been around for a long time, and they are certainly held in high regard. There's certainly probably a love-hate relationship for the Denver women's team that's held a long-standing rule. Everyone's chomping at the bit to dethrone them. But I have great respect for their organization.
Yes.
Just from observing I think what we're trying to do is our eye is not necessarily on dethroning Denver. That would be a awesome outcome in an upcoming Gable, but our eye is more so on building out a core group of our women's travel team. You know, part of being a young women's organization is we feel like there's been kind of a building and a rebuilding, a constant iteration of our team from one tournament to the next, whether it's Pride Bowl, Gable, or other tournaments that we travel to throughout the year. And we now have bodies and a deep bench of talent and other leaders stepping in besides myself, where we're really just focusing on let's build out a core of women because we have so much athletic talent. What we're working on is cohesion, and from that cohesion is where you get to be true tacticians, which is what gets Denver to the championship game and wins, in my opinion, is its cohesion and a strategic approach. So that's where our focus is.
Okay, that's fair. Gable, what was memorable for you this year?
Memorable for me this year was, internally with our team, just some really deep bonding. We had a pretty unexpected and humbling loss on day 2 against the Florida Cats team. We just weren't expecting that. I wouldn't say we went in cocky, but we didn't expect to go in and lose as handedly as we did, and that was a very humbling experience. And so we all decided to go to a dinner that night together and just kind of throw it out there on the table. And so we did a round table talk around dinner, and everyone got out their kind of positives and negatives and frustrations, but mostly it was very affirming, and we all came to the conclusion that, again, it's not really a lack of talent or athleticism or want to win and be really competitive. It was a matter of, a lack of mental fortitude in that game. And the next day we came out and we balled out, and win or lose, we were just really, really proud of the results of that. So it was a bonding experience. It was a challenging experience, and we had one player on our team. She actually won Most Improved Player in our season this year. She had never played a sport in her entire life.
Wow.
She came on the team because her girlfriend plays on the team, and she really was expecting to just be kind of a Jersey sideline cheerleader. And she wound up playing in a few of our games, and turns out she's a really natural flag puller. So she joined our league this season, and the first game she had a complete panic attack and said, "I'll never play again." And then she wound up winning Most Improved at the end of the season. So those are the memories, and not just happening at Gable, but extending through the ATXGFL league season.
Yeah, it's amazing how this league helps people find the best parts of themselves and all the hidden talents that they never felt safe enough to explore. I think that's wonderful. So when we've talked about the totality of what Austin is doing, what the NGFFL could do better, there are multiple cities throughout the country that have the women problem. And when I say the women problem, I mean the lack thereof, the lack of participation, the lack of interest. What are some tips you could give to other cities to help them attract and retain women? Because I think retention is a big issue as well.
Sure. Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier that, women attract other women when we feel like it's a safe space for us to step into, and not only just a safe space in a male-dominated sport, but a safe space in that we're not stepping into a place where it's going to be really catty, where women are supporting other women. So I would encourage other leagues that are struggling with just attracting women in general is, if there's already even a small handful of women in your league, work with them. What is it that they love about the league or would want to see in the league, and get them to help recruit other women in the city cross-pollinate with other city leagues, whether it's football or other sports. And then the retention piece is, it's going to be a slow, it's a long game to play. And it really is very much about culture and very much about assessing, are there enough women or people of, just different sexual orientations, are they represented in the body of your league, and most importantly in leadership positions, whether that's on your board or in more organic leadership positions such as subcommittees or captains or even quarterbacks, really audit and assess, is our league fairly representing all people, women and otherwise?
Okay. Well, thank you. I like that. I'm gonna definitely look at that, especially the retention part, because I think it is a long game. And I think often people think, oh, well, if we have turnover, then we're not doing something right. But maybe you did everything right, and that's just a part of the way it goes. So thank you.
Yeah.
So we're closing out soon. We're getting close to the end, but I always want to ask this question when I speak with the women, especially because I think it's important in male-dominated sports. If there is a woman somewhere that hears this podcast and is feeling apprehensive to participate in male-dominated sports for whatever reason, what would you like for her to hear? What do you want to share with that woman?
I was you. Yeah, I was one of three originally, and it's not you to step in and create that space and help expand that space for other women, then who else will do that on your behalf? So just take the step, and hopefully you'll be pleasantly surprised with the amount of reception that you will hopefully receive from that league, from that sports space, and then find other, really incredible, strong female athletes and amazing humans to join you and start making ripples, because it's going to make your league better than if it's just one single representation.
Agreed. I like that. I was you, and create a space. Yes, absolutely. God, I like talking to you.
I like talking to you. You said my legs look great.
Yeah.
I look younger than 37, so.
They are they're fantastic, and I was afraid to say it. I was like, oh God, here's another man telling a woman about her body. But they are just fantastic legs. They really are.
Well, thanks. I worked hard for them.
Oh, good. See, that there for all of you people who were scolding me mentally for saying that. See, she worked on them, and I recognized her hard work. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you for recognizing
Charlotte,
my legs.
That was, yes, no problem. That was all of my questions. Is there any topic that we haven't covered that you want to make sure the listeners know about, or you want to promote anything that they should hear that I haven't asked you about?
I don't think so. We covered a lot. I think my hope for next Pride Bowl and Gay Bowl is when I find myself in the city leaders meeting that I'm not the lone woman in there anymore. That would be really a lovely thing to see.
Yeah. That we are working diligently on as a board member of the NGFFL. I promise you, like getting full inclusion from the multitude of voices that we have in the NGFFL, and trying to make sure everyone is represented and they see themselves is so important to us. So it's very, very important, and it's something that we're pushing for. So I'm hoping with you that we can get all the voices represented in the city leaders room going forward.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I applaud it, and this has been a complete honor. So thanks again for inviting me.
No problem. Thank you. So we're going to wrap up. So thank you again, Charlotte. Thank you to Austin for loaning me Charlotte. Thank you to all the wonderful women who suggested Charlotte when I asked about who I should interview. So just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to all the listeners for joining us here on Outside the Huddle. And remember that all the episodes are made available on the NGFFL YouTube page. They're also on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So if you listen, hashtag NGFFL. And again, thanks everyone for listening. Until we next meet, be kind to yourself and be kind to all the others you encounter as you compete, connect, and unite in the NGFFL. Goodbye, everybody.